So I'll let you take us into our first topic of the week.
Yeah, so with it being January now, and we've got the January transfer window open, we're going to go through a few rumours, and just to say if they'll work out or not, basically.
Yeah, if you think that they're likely or just a load of rubbish. Or
and even if they do make the move, will it be a success or will it be a flop? So we'll go through a few.
This will be good for me because I've not really looked that much into anything so far. So I feel like these are all going to... The majority of these might surprise me.
Might surprise you, yeah. So there's a few that I didn't even know about. So I'll just roll a few names off and we'll just get straight into it. Right. So the first one, which I think you definitely know about this one. Sancho to Dortmund on a loan.
Yeah. I think this is nailed. I think this will happen.
Yeah.
I don't know how soon they'll manage to get it through.
I reckon the next couple of days, I reckon they can get that through.
Surely there's nothing really holding this up. That I imagine there'll be some sort of obligation to pay a certain amount of the wages. I imagine we'll probably cover some of it.
Yeah, I did see some people online saying, I hope they don't put an option to buy in there because you never know what's going to happen to the manager. Another manager might come in and go, do you know what? I like Sancho. I want him.
I think as well, I've heard some rumours that there's going to be no option to buy because of his... If you can say poor form, you can say poor form. I think he's not been great. He also hasn't been playing. Before he wasn't playing in the best of form anyway. That they don't want to lock a fee in for a potential future transfer when he could go there, be really good, and then United have sold him for less than what they could maybe get.
Yeah.
If they see and he's a real success and they do want him, they'll be able to hike that price up a bit.
Yeah. If Ten Hag goes, you never know. He might be United player next season.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I'm not bothered. I've never seen enough from him. I don't really have a strong dislike for him either.
Well, if you know, remember the last pod, I think we said when we was on about Aston Villa, all it takes is for that a certain manager to unlock your potential. You never know.
It can, but yeah, I think his United career is over, personally. I think it's a strange one because I think with Sancho, he has a lot. If you look online, and I know Twitter's a bit of it's like the Wild West for football and opinions. There's some real dross on there. But he's one of these players that has a lot of fans that just love him. It's not even like they're fans of football clubs. You know, a bit like Cristiano. There's people that just love Cristiano. Yeah. And they support whoever he plays for. There's a lot of people out there that love Sancho and saying how he's been treated so poorly, and I just don't really buy into it. Even if he has been treated poorly,
his attitude has been stinky at 3 clubs now.
Yeah, Pep didn't like his attitudes why he left City in the first place.
It came out that Dortmund's manager partnered him with Haaland to get his attitude better. So.
Yeah, so there's always been something lingering there, you would have to say. And I know it's difficult because we obviously don't know the ins and outs, but from what you can see, it doesn't look the best. And I've never really been that impressed with him, I have to say.
He's definitely a talented player.
Yeah, obviously he's clearly a great footballer. We've seen that at Dortmund. I've seen glimpses of it in United shirt. You can see that he's got the talent, but I've never seen it. I've never walked away from a game at Old Trafford and gone, God, he was brilliant today. I never think he's had one... I can't remember one redeemable performance. The thing that sticks out to me, Jadon Sancho, in my mind, is the goal he scored against Liverpool last season.
Yes.
Where he sat one of the defenders down and stuck it in. But you have to take into consideration, Liverpool were pretty poor by all accounts, for the whole of the majority of that season, and especially at the start of it. And, for a player of that talent and sort of the reputation he came in with, and we thought he was going to be this world beater, just not seen enough from him. So I'd say best of luck to him. I'm not overly bothered whether he succeeds or fails. I'd be more content if he did well at Dortmund, because then there's more likelihood that we can sell him for a reasonable fee, and I just don't personally see a world for him where he's in United's long-term future.
Honestly, I think if he does well, right, and you could get 60 mil for him, I think that's good.
I'd take, if you're not taking a huge loss and you recoup some sort of fee. I mean, do they even want him long-term?
Well, yeah, but
I don't know.
Well, no. The player you could get for 60 million is... You could get a good, hard-working player that's got a bit of class about him for 60 mil, I reckon.
Yeah, but if you're United, you can't.
To be fair, actually, if you do sell him for 60, and you bring Elise, say Crystal Palace want 60 for Elise, right? I'd still do it.
what you'd bring him in for that.
Yeah.
I think someone would have our pants down, whoever we bring in.
That's what I mean. You're not going to get away from that fee, so just accept it.
I think we're going to pay a lot for whoever we bring in.
Yeah.
I just hope that they wouldn't flop. Like, everyone we bring in, especially these exciting sort of goal scoring positions, none of them have been particularly exciting. I don't know if I've said it on the podcast, but I said it to someone at work this week. We signed Anthony. Has not looked fantastic so far. We signed Sancho. I've never been impressed with him in the few seasons he's played. He's obviously had issues off the pitch as well. Dan James was more of a success than those two.
Yeah.
Manchester United. That bar is low.
We're struggling with the right wing position, aren't we?
Dan James came in, was fine, wasn't great. We signed him for 15 mil. We sold him for a profit. And he has had a better United career than Jadon Sancho and Anthony so far.
Under Ali, he was doing bits, wasn't he?
I liked him. He wasn't a great player, but he had a good attitude.
Yeah.
And, he's quick.
That's what you need.
But yeah.
Right, so do you think it'll be a success at Dortmund then, the loan?
I think it depends how we determine success. Will he be better than he's been at United? I think so.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean just this season, because obviously he's not played, really. But in terms of, will he be better than what we've seen full stop in a United shirt since he's joined? I think so.
Will he be like the old Sancho?
I don't think so, no. I don't think he'll immediately just go back to lighting it up. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And he could completely prove me wrong there. But I think it's more likely that he'll do pretty well, but he won't be like lighting it up, the excitement from when he first burst onto the scene, when he got the move over there in the first instance. But, the fans love him over there. They're a decent side, so you'd think he'll probably just slot straight back in.
Mm.
So if success to me is, does he play more minutes and does he play better than he has in United shirt? And I think he will.
Yeah,
I'm not thinking he'll set the world alight, but I think
it's a hit basically. Yeah,
yeah.
My phone's not turning back on. There we go.
We're having technical difficulties here. You just bear with us. Working on a shoestring budget here at Game of 2 Hours podcast.
So the next one I think you'll know about as well. It's been recent, the last 2 days. I think it has. I think it's really stepped up. I think it's close to being agreed. But it's Timo Werner to Spurs.
To Spurs, yeah.
On loan.
Didn't see this coming at all.
No, I didn't.
There was a lot of rumours about Manchester United being in for him. I'll say it's a strange one because I think Richarlison has started to find a bit of form that Spurs fans haven't seen up until this point.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't think it's for striker.
Do you think?
I think it's cover for Son.
But I think that's a crazy move with the fact you're losing Son for a month.
Yeah.
I think, obviously it's depth anyway.
I think it's worth for the loan. They haven't got much players up there, have they?
No, they've got some wide players, haven't they? But I think in terms of that kind of player, I suppose they've not got that many. One thing I would say is I think this could be an underrated transfer because I'm not saying that Timo Werner is an absolute world beater, but I think he gets a bad rep because he didn't have the most successful time at Chelsea. And bear in mind, he won the Champions League.
I saw some stats come up. I wish I saved them. I've lost them now. But I saw some come up, and it was like everyone's saying Timo Werner was a flop, but his first season at Chelsea or whatever, they were saying he won the Champions League, he won this, and he actually did quite well. He was Chelsea's top goal scorer as well. So.
He was wasteful, but I think he does definitely have the qualities to perform and be a success.
Yeah.
I do think it's a strange one. I didn't see that happening personally to Spurs. I thought we'd maybe see him in the Premier League again, but Spurs weren't a team I was thinking of.
I didn't want us to get him, but when it's changed to Spurs, this is no disrespect to Spurs, but I actually think I'm with you, I think it could be an underrated signing this.
I think so. I think people will just remember, and it'll be a bit of a meme. People will be thinking, do you remember how he would miss all these chances, and Spurs, this is a typical Spurs signing.
But the way Spurs are playing, very attacking football, I think he'll thrive under him.
I think Postecoglou knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So I expect it to be a success personally. I think he'll score more goals. And I think Richarlison's found form, but I think Timo Werner could be more successful than Richarlison's been so far for Tottenham. He's been good this. Yeah. I think he's been better this season, Richarlison. But last year he was undoubtedly probably the flop of the signing, worst for signing of the season because of the money involved.
If Timo Werner does well, there is a chance that Spurs will probably go in for him at the end of the season, get him. But I'm not sure. I think I'm with you on that. I think he might be an underrated signing.
I think that could be a success, and I also think how we assessed the last one. Do we think it'll happen? It's looked very likely this, so I think this is.
I think them first two will happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the next one, I thought I'll put Calvin Phillips in here. And it's not because he's linked with a certain team. I just thought he's got to go now.
I saw Pep has basically said, and I'm not saying the exact words, but I remember watching a few interviews where Pep had come out and said he's like basically sorry to him, that he feels
That's
like he's
bullshit.
letting down.
It's bullshit.
But I think Calvin Phillips still could have been a success at Man City, but Pep clearly just doesn't fancy him. Whether, I don't know what changed from him joining, whether it was a Pep Guardiola signing, whether it was the good performances for England and it made him stand out.
Yeah, them vibes of Pep saying that is exactly the same as we cannot replace him. It is. It's exactly the same as that Aguero.
I do think he doesn't. I don't think he's done it deliberately. In that he doesn't want to just bring a player in and not play them. I don't think any manager wants to do that to a player.
I think he knows everything, every single word Pep says. I think he knows what he's doing, and I think he's only saying that he's a fantastic player and he deserves better and all that because he wants money for him.
I think Newcastle would be a good fit.
I think so too. It's where you because obviously they're going to be missing Tonali for a while.
Yeah, I don't know what the time period is on that, but he's out for, God, it's a long period of time, I would expect.
And Newcastle fans might know this more than me, but I feel like if you put Calvin Phillips in that team, maybe put Bruno G next to him, I think you might unlock a bit more of Bruno.
Yeah, you can let him have a bit more creative control because he's not got to do as much defensive work. But I think he'd slot straight in there. I think that would be a good fit. Apart from that, I'm not entirely sure because that's the only club I've really thought about where I see it being a good fit.
Yeah, but even he's not getting any minutes at City, right?
And he'll want to be in the England team.
Yeah, but even if he goes to a worse team, I think it's still good moves. Like say he went to Wolves.
Yeah.
If I was Calvin Phillips, I'd still
a Premier League. Well, you look at the facts. If Leeds was still in the Prem, he'd be back there straight away. I think that'd be the move that'd happen because he's a Leeds lad. They loved him. I don't think they wanted to lose him anyway. He was one of their best players. And I think if they were still a Premier League club, that would just be an immediate move. They'd just take him straight back.
But that goes to show that he could probably still be in the England team if he goes to a shit. I'm saying shit team. I'm not saying they're actually shit, but I mean a worse off team.
Yeah, unless there's. I can't think of the word now either. You've sent my brain into a frenzy. Like a team with less reputation and expectation to win bigger things.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle would be a good move. I think that'd probably be one of the best moves for him in terms of how good of a team he could play for.
I'm thinking if Palhinha moves, maybe Fulham.
Do you think that there's a chance he goes in January, or do you think Fulham, unless it's big money, they would hold out to the summer?
I think that he's on this, by the way, but I think they're looking for 60 mil.
See, I think that's in January, mid-season. That's not enough for me.
No,
for a player of his quality, and you're going to lose him midway through the season. I'd be having someone's pants down for price-wise for
City do well with selling players as well, so it's just whether they bought Calvin Phillips in for 50 mil, and if it was United, there's no way they're selling him for 50 mil, but I just see City pulling off wonders and probably selling him for at least 40.
He's won a treble, even though he'd barely kicked a ball. So, his CV is looking marginally stronger for the Manchester City move, but
if the Palhinha deal does happen, it's a good fit.
Yeah, it's like for like. They need to bring someone in, but then they'll show their cards as well then, Fulham. If they get 60 mil for Palhinha, people know they've got 60 mil.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's more likely that he gets a loan move, and with the fact he'll go.
I would probably prefer that, yeah.
What, you really... you prefer that?
No, if I was Fulham, yeah.
You're proper going for it. But yeah, I think any Premier League club could take... He's a player of good quality, and I don't think people should disrespect how good of a level he's shown at times.
I think people have seen his best bits in England shirt, to be honest.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he was good for Leeds, but I think he was a standout player in a tournament for England, and I don't think many people expected that.
The Euros, he did really well, didn't he?
Yeah, so I think he needs the move. I think he'll get the move. Where he ends up, I'm not so sure. My money would be on Newcastle because I think the fact they've basically banked on having Tonali and he's not available.
Yeah, could be for like
they're obviously a player short there, aren't they? So, yeah.
Right, so do you reckon if Calvin Phillips moves and he goes to that team that you say, do you reckon it'll be a hit? Or?
Again, if I judge a success as the way I've looked at the others, do they perform better than they currently are?
Well, yeah.
It's very difficult. So you'd have to say yes, because as long as he gets minutes, doesn't get a huge injury.
He could start get a red card and get injured. So
Yeah, I mean, that would be the dream debut, wouldn't it? Own goal, red card,
yeah.
injured for the rest of the season. They find out he's been betting all year. he's out straight away.
Yeah, he's best mates with Tonali. He's been putting bets on, but right, yeah. I think even if he moves to like a Fulham, like I said, I think he'll be a hit. So
Yeah, he's a good player. He'll make any team of that stature, and no disrespect to them. And I know Newcastle are a good team. I'm not knocking it at all, but I think he improves the majority of them, and certainly adds a lot of depth as well.
Yeah. So the next one is Palhinha to Bayern.
So is that back on the cards?
Still wanting to get him, yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. He's a fantastic player.
It just worries me that the Eric Dyer thing, so that's later on in this as well, but the Eric Dyer rumours like heightened up for Bayern as well. So it's just wonder if they do get Eric Dyer, does that mean the Palhinha deal's off?
What do you think, they might play him further forward and not as a centre-back?
Because Tuchel came out and said he'd like a centre-back that can play the defensive mid-role.
I've seen Dyer do that in the past.
Yeah, and I think Kimmich, I saw something, rumours as well, that Kimmich apparently wants a new challenge, ideally in the Premier League.
Really?
Yeah, so with all these rumours about defensive mids and these sort of players with Bayern, that just makes the Kimmich thing kind of more true.
How old is Kimmich?
28.
That's got Liverpool all over it.
Prime years, I think it's Liverpool or United. I don't see him going anywhere else.
I don't know. These players almost have to be brain dead to join United, don't they?
Oh, yeah, of course. But I don't want him to because it'll ruin his career.
Well, you never know. He could be that good that he could turn us around, but I bank that on every signing that United make, that they're going to be the last piece to this puzzle and it'll start working.
Personally, I'd love Kimmich.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah, and I like him that much. I remember when we watched the Champions League final at yours, the COVID one.
Yeah.
And I actually put him to score, didn't
when
I?
we did a little bet.
Yeah, but he actually assisted Coman, didn't he? Yeah. But I rate him very highly. I have done for years.
I'd love to see him in the Premier League. It would upset me if that was in a Liverpool shirt.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, what can you do?
But with Liverpool looking for defensive mid as well, it kind of scares me.
And he is world class in that position.
Yeah.
Palhinha, he'll want that Bayern move 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no disrespect to Fulham, but, Bayern are a European giant. They've won it all.
I'm pretty sure he was on the plane at the start of the season,
It's pretty much a guaranteed league title. They've won 10 in a row or something now. They compete for all of the German Cups every year. They're obviously a hot prospect probably for the Champions League this year. I personally don't think they've quite got enough to win it based on the performances against us. But, with Harry Kane, Sane, Gnabry, the players that they have in the team, they're brilliant already. And I think a player of his quality would just fit straight in, I think.
I'm pretty sure, I might be wrong here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Palhinha is top on the most tackles in the Premier League.
Oh, I couldn't tell you at the moment, but it wouldn't surprise me.
If he's not top, he's definitely in the top 3 because I saw a stat not long ago, and yeah, he's everywhere on the pitch. Even when he plays against us, he's the best player on the pitch.
Yeah, he walks into our midfield.
Yeah,
100%. I mean, I'd love him.
Yeah,
I can't see a world where we go in for him.
No.
But if Bayern want him, I think Bayern get him. I think it's as simple as that. The player, I don't know how I feel about this in general when players do this, but it's a case of where you might throw his toys out the pram a little bit. Like he's going to be competing for a mid-table position at best, probably with Fulham this season, or he could be in the Champions League,
force a move,
trying to win a title with Bayern Munich.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's likely, that one. I wouldn't say it's as likely as Sancho and Werner.
No.
If I put them at 9 or a 10 out of 10, I would put this at a 6.
I think Palhinha's more likely to happen at the end of the season.
Yeah, Fulham won't want to lose a player of that quality.
No.
But
especially when they're toying, like, they're down there, aren't they? So they don't want to, if they lose that sort of player that's probably like got the most tackles in the Premier League, that's a really big miss.
Yeah. And I don't think they will have the ability to bring in anyone anywhere near that quality, especially in a January transfer window.
Fulham lose most of their games when he don't play as well.
It's not surprising. I think he's the best player for Fulham.
Yeah.
Like, as no disrespect to any of, they've got some half decent players, but I think he's clearly the best footballer there. He was brilliant last year. I think he's been good on the international stage, and I think he just needs that big move. He showed that he's got the quality.
Elevate a bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously we spoke about Kimmich and how that'll be quite interesting. I'd love it to happen. You'd love it to happen. Just if this Palhinha deal goes through, it could be possible.
Could be a chain of events where all these spur on from one of the first one happening.
Definitely not January for Kimmich, end of season, but
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me if his contract's ran out and we still pay 60 mil.
Yeah, we pay for a free player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd love him at United. I think he'd be brilliant. I think he'll succeed anywhere that he goes. He's that kind of player. I can't see a world where he's really... he could even go Manchester City. You know, look at it.
Oh, mate, Rodri and him.
Like, they need depth in that position. There's who's to say they can't play together anyway?
I don't see that happening.
He'd want that move. If they come in sniffing, he'd be all over that, surely, because they're a team competing for the biggest trophies.
Captain material as well. I think Liverpool and United are both equal in how much they need that sort of player. So, could happen. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait till the end of the season. You never know. At the end of the season, we might be having this conversation again.
We might have won the league. You never know. You do know. We won't. Spoilers.
Did you just say we might have won the league?
Aren't we like 20 points behind or something already?
Yeah.
Probably not quite, but it's a lot.
Yeah. We're definitely down there with the most goals scored, aren't we?
Yeah, we're not even finishing in the Conference League, I don't think.
I don't want to be honest.
No, but I don't even think we qualify for it at this rate. It was so poor.
Right, another one is this one's a bit strange for me because this player is playing every single game. So it's Gallagher to Chelsea, Gallagher to Spurs.
To Spurs, I hadn't heard anything, and I've heard a lot of rumours about the fact he might leave Chelsea. In terms of where he was going to go, I haven't heard anything. This is a book balancing exercise for Chelsea. All the money that they spent.
It's to get homegrown players to get profit in it.
This also gets marked as 100% profit because he's from the youth academy, and you probably get upwards of 50 million for him. This guy is currently the club captain with Reece James not playing.
Yeah,
and that's a crazy statement on its own because it's not like he's a vastly experienced Premier League player.
That's why it just doesn't make sense to me.
And he's also performed really well this season, I think.
Yeah,
he's been one of Chelsea's better players.
Yeah, I think he has. And to be fair, it's rumoured to be like 40 mil. I think it's a lot for Gallagher, but he is English.
I don't know. I think that's reasonable.
Is it?
Yeah, I think you
do need them sort of players in a team. To be fair, you need the bit of class players that can do something out of nothing, and you need the players that are going to put in the hard work.
He's a workhorse. He'll put tackles in. He'll be all over the park. Do I think he's a world beater? No. I think he's steady, and I think if he's sort of player, if he played for United, I'd like him because
it'd just be like another McTominay, wouldn't it?
I think he's probably better than McTominay.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think McTominay's got goals to his game that Gallagher maybe can't replicate those goals. But I think in terms of a tidy midfield player, I think he's probably better than McTominay on the ball.
I noticed Gallagher a lot more at Palace. I thought he was brilliant, but that's because he's standing out in a team that's not that great. But even Chelsea this season, I haven't really seen. Whenever I watch them, they're a bit boring and a bit shite. So that's why I haven't really got much of an opinion on Gallagher. But I do think if he goes to Spurs with Postecoglou's way of playing, I think he'll be a good signing.
Yeah, I think that he also doesn't stand out as much for Chelsea, maybe to some people, because I think they're a team that is very difficult at the moment to sort of make a difference. So you look at Cole Palmer, what he's doing should not go unnoticed. Not just because it's for any club, the goals and assists he's currently getting at his age is impressive.
Yeah,
but that Chelsea move's a tough move. Like the club's all over the place. There's new signings, the new manager. It's a mess. I think it's very difficult to just hit the ground running.
It's a very tough move for like a striker as well, at Chelsea.
That's why I've been really impressed with Cole Palmer. I put him in my team of the season so far in last week's podcast. But I think Gallagher has got a lot of work to do in there. And, like you say, at Palace obviously stands out more. I think if he moved to a team, it's a difficult one with Spurs because we've seen them play well. But they do look like there's a system there. And if he gets into that team and knows his role and is consistently playing, I think he could be a good signing.
I've said a few things on Spurs, obviously being naive, all that stuff. But one thing I will say is, if any player on this list or any list, like honestly, if anyone got linked to Spurs, I'd be like, it'll work out because the way of playing that they're doing, it's very attacking and they just like it. It's very free flowing football.
Yeah,
I just think any player would work out there.
I feel like the players know the role, and like you say, I think they get a bit of a free roam. I think they know how they're allowed to play, and I think that's how you get. It's almost a little bit like what you saw from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United team, where I don't think there was a whole lot of tactical approach. It was like
freedom.
He let the players play the way they wanted to, and I think that's why the players liked him, and ultimately is why he got sacked in the end.
I think Fergie was a lot like that. I think Fergie let him play with a lot of freedom.
I think he did, but I think that came into play in the last half an hour of the game when we're not running away with it.
He threw like 10 strikers on the pitch.
I think he had a tactical approach the way he wanted to play games. And then if we were down, I think he'd be like, do what you want.
Yeah.
Play your best football, get a result here. And Postecoglou, I do think, is probably similar to that in that sense. They clearly have a way that they want to play games. They set up in a similar way. He clearly knows what sort of players he needs to do that because, like when he's lining up defensively with 4 fullbacks, he obviously doesn't think the options he's got at centre back are capable of him playing that way. That's why he plays those 4 fullbacks. For me, like how you're saying they've been linked with Werner, and that's quite likely. Equally being linked to Gallagher. I trust the fact he knows the sort of player he wants.
Yeah.
So again, I would say, similar to you, where you've said on Spurs there that you think it'd be a success, or any player would potentially be a success. Yeah. I would say the same. Whether this one's likely or not, and whether Chelsea let their club captain go to a rival.
Yeah, but the thing is, it might be like kind of a Maguire situation, because Maguire was the captain, but it's not stopping him from getting sold. I think.
Well, Gallagher isn't the captain, is he? But he is at the moment.
That's what I mean. It's like the second or third captain. But
that'll also be because he's an academy player. They're not going to just dish out the captaincy to one of these new signings.
Yeah.
That's why Reece James, I think, has come through the academy. He's a fan favourite. Gallagher, I don't know if he's got that same appreciation from the Chelsea fans, but I think they like him.
Yeah. I think that's why United are all over the place, because we haven't actually got a player that's been there for a while that's worth captaining. That's why we've got Bruno there. He's been there a fair bit, Bruno, now, but you need them sort of players that have been there for a while, know what it's about. It's like if we bring Kimmich in, I'm like, oh, he's very good captain material, but you don't captain a player that's only been there.
Like Casemiro as well. Yeah. He's probably captain material.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's had his own problems with injuries and suspensions, but in terms of Varane, both of them, the qualities and experience they bring.
Martinez could be as well, but
I do think he will be a long-term Manchester United player. I think we'll have him for a long time. So I see him but I don't see anybody taking that captaincy off Bruno Fernandes whilst he is at the football club.
Yeah.
But I did like the Maguire captaincy, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a big fan of Maguire. I think it showed something from Solskjaer where he brought this man in. He was supposed to be the man to take our defence to the next level. And to give him the captaincy, I think, was bold, and I liked it. And I'd never really disagreed with it. I think it was...
It goes to show that Ollie said that he obviously thought that United need a captain here, and he went and bought one because we just didn't have anyone.
I mean, it's a shame it didn't work out. I think it ultimately was what led to his poor run of form.
Yeah.
And him falling out of favour and becoming the sort of meme that he was. I think the captaincy maybe weighed a bit too heavy, but I liked the move to bring in a player and give it to them, because I've been sick of seeing it for years since Rooney left the club. It was always just whoever was there the longest.
Yeah.
I was waiting for De Gea to get it because...
De Gea did have it a bit, didn't he? But it was like second.
I think it's only because he was goalkeeper they didn't really get it, but it was, you'd have it as... It was Ashley Young because he'd been there ages.
Yeah.
You've got it going to like Chris Smalling as your second in line for it.
I forgot who it was, but I was watching a video, it was a while back, when all this stuff about Maguire and all this new captaincy was happening. And I forgot who it was that went, but they went to the training ground and they went... Honestly, you wouldn't believe it, but everyone was listening to... This is when Maguire got stripped of the captaincy, but he said, you wouldn't believe it. When he went to the training ground, Maguire was still the captain.
I was speaking... I saw Sprucey went out to... when we played Galatasaray.
I think he went, didn't he?
Yeah.
But I think it might have been like Rio's podcast or something.
He said to me... Well, he didn't say to me. He said on his video where he's talking over it, that when he watched the training session of the players, that Maguire was one of the leaders that everybody was listening to.
It's a bit weird now. So that's two people that we know.
So I think it's the media try and turn it to be like, oh, the players don't like him.
Yeah.
He's not, people don't rate him and all that. I don't think that's true. I think the players all get on for the most part, and he clearly does have those leadership qualities even without the captaincy anymore.
Yeah. Right.
What was the tangent we went on there? With Gallagher.
I think it'll be a hit.
I don't see this happening though.
No, I don't see it happening either.
I see a move maybe happening, but I don't see Tottenham for Gallagher.
They don't do much business, Tottenham and Chelsea, do they? It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
I do think it'll be a success as well, though. But right, next one is Ivan Toney to Brentford. He's at Brentford to Arsenal.
Has that been quite heavily linked? Has it?
It's the most likely.
It is. Oh, you mean Arsenal's the most likely?
Yeah, because Ivan Toney's expressed that he does definitely want to leave, and Arsenal is the most likeliness. So.
I do not think he goes anywhere in January. I don't think there's a chance of it.
Apparently, Brentford have come out and said if he is to go, they want it. They don't want him to go. So if he is to go, it'd have to be 100 mil.
Yeah. Well, I think from their point of view, a player like that, I think they'd be quietly content because they've already not had him all season. But look at where they are.
Yeah.
You know, they're not doing very well compared to previous seasons. But I think it'd be very poor for them to let go of a player like that mid-season. Even though I know he's not been available, I do not see a world where he goes anywhere in January. I think he'll be at Brentford till the end of the season. I think he'll get his move because ultimately it looks like he's not destined to be there. He's not the youngest player. He's maybe only got one shot at a big club move to take his career to the next level.
I think Arsenal's perfect for him.
I think they need him. I think he'll slot right in. He can clearly play at the level. I think he's miles better as a number 9 than Gabriel Jesus.
I think he could get you 20 goals a season.
And he could be the difference amongst a few other changes to them being a genuine title challenger. They need that goal scorer. They've got the goals coming in from wide, but I don't think Saka and Martinelli have been as good this season.
No, they've struggled this lately, haven't they? And I heard people say about Arsenal how their wingers aren't really supplying the strikers as well. And we've obviously... We're on the same page, aren't we?
Saka's not been in as good form as he had been, and Martinelli's looked nowhere near the level that he was.
Martinelli's been... he might still be up there. He might be getting his goals and some assists this season, but he's not looked the player that he was last season.
No, I don't think he's looked like it's the haircut. It's the Marcus Rashford haircut. They both had the blonde dye put in, and they both stinking the place out.
Oh, you mean Saka?
Yeah.
Oh,
right. About Martinelli
yeah.
still.
Yeah.
But I think... what I was going to say, then I've lost my train of thought. I already think Arsenal, and Arsenal fans, you can come for me because United are stinking, so you can throw that down my neck. They're in a top 4 race. The title's gone.
Who?
Arsenal.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're the best they can hope for this season is to compete for silverware. Obviously, we'll see how they do against Liverpool.
You're honest.
They aren't winning the Premier League. They're not even challenging for the Premier League this year, I'm telling you. I'll call it now. And I think they've displayed some poor performances, and I think ultimately they'll be up there. They're still one of the better teams in the league. But over Liverpool, Manchester City, I don't think they're near it. I think they're just competing to finish in a Champions League place.
Yeah. You never know. Anything can happen in these next weeks, but obviously with the Asian Cup and African Cup of Nations, with Salah going and all that, it's just whether Liverpool can still...
I think Liverpool quietly go about the business. Whether they drop points in a few games, I think they've been strong enough that they're right up there this year, and they don't show the frailties that this Arsenal team has shown.
Yeah. Would it be a success? We definitely think it would be, wouldn't it? For Arsenal,
yes, I think he needs that big move. I think Arsenal makes all the sense in the world. You'd said about Spurs. Obviously, I think that would have been a good move also, but you would have to say that Arsenal are closer to competing.
Yeah, he'd prefer Arsenal.
So it's a better move.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll happen in January, though. I'd be very surprised if Arsenal go and drop what Brentford are saying is going to be 100 million.
But with Arsenal having a dip, is Arteta thinking, right, I'm just going to splash this 100 million on him because we need to challenge, basically?
I think they'd have to sell somebody. I don't see a world where they can bring in £100 million striker.
Because they spent quite a lot, haven't they? I think.
Yeah,
Arsenal.
and for the past number of seasons, they've been up there as one of the highest spenders.
Yeah, yeah.
Obviously, they've had a lot of outs and a real change in that squad. But no, I don't think it's very likely. I think there's a world where they get a loan with a mandatory fee.
Yeah,
that's the only way I think they get him in January. Is it's a loan, but they sign on the dotted line that they will pay them 120 million in summer, which I just don't see it.
Apparently, Tony came back first game behind closed doors. I think it was with the youth team or something. He scored a hat trick.
He's capable of it. I think he's one of the best strikers in the league.
Yeah, I think so.
When he's fit, so
could be.
I said that like he's been unfit. He's just been.
Yeah, but the thing is though, if you look even in terms of the world, and you look at strikers in world football, I think he definitely could be in the top 10 because you don't really have many top strikers anymore.
I mean, I don't know how audacious of a shout that is because I can't really think off the top of my head. And a lot of the long-standing number 9s that we've known over the years have either started to tail off now or gone to pony clubs.
Yeah, that's why he probably squeezes in.
I mean, maybe, but yeah, I wouldn't. I'll let that be your take for the pod. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll probably release it and be like, oh no, that's bad.
You know, maybe I'll give you top 20, but top 10, I'm not sure. But maybe.
I'll stick with top 10. Right, I'd love him at United, to be honest. Right, next one. Oh, we've actually spoke about this, but Eric Dyer to Bayern. And that looks like it could be likely at the minute.
This one's the stupidest one.
I don't rate Dyer.
I don't rate Dyer. Sounds, snide, I suppose. I've never really seen a lot from it. I've seen games where he looks okay, but for the most part, I think he's not good enough. So I'm very shocked that a club like Bayern Munich would bring him in. Obviously, his ex-teammates there.
Apparently, Harry Kane's putting a bit of words in for him, but
yeah, he's trying to get him the move. But surely he's not starting games. That is squad depth. This is a guy that is not playing for Tottenham Hotspur when they've got no centre backs fit.
Yeah, no.
Postecoglou does not fancy him at all.
But De Ligt's been struggling with injuries, hasn't he? So if Eric Dyer is a cheap option for him, and like you say, Bayern are on for 10 straight wins of the league. So it's whether Eric Dyer's not really going to make them lose. Do you know what I mean? So
what I would say, I think they take that league easily. It's depth, and what I'd say is if they are genuinely interested, this will happen. Tottenham won't be trying to keep him around. They're not playing him anyway.
Someone has said recently that normally when Bayern go in for a player, it happens.
Yeah, I think they've got that pulling power as well, and they do business well. I'd say if they want him, this will happen because Tottenham aren't losing anything there. And
even if it's a loan.
Yeah, and they'll see how it works. But yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know wholly if it's really likely because I don't know how realistic this link actually is.
I'm actually going to say, though, if it does happen, I think it'll be a flop.
I would lean towards flop as well but what is success in this? He's not playing for Tottenham. If he comes in and does okay and wins a Bundesliga title, that's a success.
Yeah.
So
you just see the picture now, Harry Kane and Eric Dyer holding the Champions League trophy.
Drinking beers over there in Germany. You know what? It's going to be a success. I'm going for it.
Okay.
And likelihood, let's give it obviously depends if Bayern are genuinely interested. I'll give it a 7. I think it's more likely than whatever I gave a 6 to before.
I think it was Palini, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think the Eric Dyer one's more likely to happen in January than Palini.
Yeah, 100%. He's not an integral part to the team he plays in. Yeah. He's not getting minutes. If Bayern are interested, that move will go through.
3 fullbacks are getting in over him in his position. So
he's going to want out. He wants to play football.
Yeah.
He can go over there. It's a new challenge. His mate's playing over there. It makes all the sense in the world. If Bayern, for whatever reason, are actually interested in it.
Whatever's going through Tuchel's head, Jesus.
Dyer, best of luck to you. I hope you win the Bundesliga and enjoy yourself. I know you're listening.
Champions League.
Imagine.
The last one then, Osimhen to Chelsea.
I've not even given this the time of day. I'll give it a 1.
You don't think it happened?
No chance.
He has just signed a new deal, but I think that's just because Napoli didn't want to lose any money.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at Chelsea spending the money. That wouldn't surprise me.
Apparently Napoli are probably the hardest team to deal with as well.
I don't see a world where, 1, they want to let go of him. 2, that Chelsea is the club he wants to go to.
They had a fallout though, didn't they? The big bust up.
There was a whole thing
about social media and that, but then that seemed to be brushed under the carpet now. Yeah.
I'm not really entertaining this. I think this is your typical.
Just because Chelsea aren't scoring.
Yeah, and I think it's your typical lazy reporting. So no, I don't fancy this to happen at all. I don't think it's likely. I don't think he'll want the move. I'm not sure that they're going to drop 100+ million in January on a forward.
Apparently they're saying 130.
Yeah. No. I think he is entertaining this one.
I definitely think Osimhen's a really, really good striker, though.
I think it'd be brilliant for whoever he gets the move for. He's one of few hot talents out there in that position.
I want to see him go because I want to know if he could break the curse of Chelsea.
No, no, they stink. I don't think it's likely. I don't think the money will happen. I don't think Napoli will let him go in January. None of it. I don't buy it at all. Lazy. I can't think of the right word now. I'm stinking today. My brain's not working.
Journalism.
Yes, that's the one. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen as well, but I do kind of want to see Osimhen in the Prem because I like the way he plays, to be honest.
I think we'll see him in the Prem in his career. Not this January for me.
His touch is a bit like Lukaku, but still like the guy. Right, that's all the transfer rumours we got for you today.
Well, I had heard most of them,
Yeah.
so that wasn't too bad.